Hello everyone, let's talk about life insurance. As an estate planning attorney, I always ask my clients if they have a life insurance. Why? Because I believe that life insurance is a very important part of an estate plan. People usually purchase life insurance, or they may have a free policy through work to prevent their spouse, children, and other dependents from suffering financial hardship if they die unexpectedly. I'm making this video because there is a little more to life insurance than deciding on what amount you should get or on writing the names of your designated beneficiaries. Here are some important facts to consider. Consider naming a trust as a beneficiary. Most people usually have their spouse first if they're married, and then the children as equal alternate beneficiaries. So a few things here. Please make sure that you have number one, a listed beneficiary to begin with, and two, that you have an alternate beneficiary. If something happens to your primary beneficiary before you, or if something happens to both of you at the same time, that's when the alternate beneficiary would come into play. So let's talk about why minor children would not make good beneficiaries on a life insurance policy. Well, because minor children cannot inherit to their name, so they will need a guardian appointed, a court-appointed guardian. So hopefully you have a guardian nomination somewhere in your estate planning documents. But if you don't, the court will appoint someone who would apply, who may or may not be the best person to care for your children and to be in charge of handling your money. Also, when the children reach the age of 18 and the guardianship terminates, that's when they would receive the remaining proceeds from your life insurance policy, whatever was not used for their care while the minor child guardianship proceeding was in effect. So what can you do to ensure that your life insurance proceeds, your retirement, your investments, whatever other financial accounts you may have, will not end up in the hands of the guardian of your minor children or in the hands of your young adult children, but that they will be spent the right way, the way you wish them to be used? So what can you do? You can list a revocable trust as a beneficiary to all these accounts, and then in the trust you can designate certain provisions on how the money to be used, such as when they graduate from college, when they turn 18, whatever wishes or values are important to you. But also the person in charge of these funds will be your designated trustees. Sometimes people understand that it's not a good idea to have minor children listed as beneficiaries to these assets, and they decide to add instead a trusted adult in their life, let's say a sibling or a parent, as the designated beneficiary. So let's say you have a married couple, you have the spouse first, and then they add, let's say, the sister as a beneficiary to the life insurance, because if something were to happen to them, the sister is the one who will be taking care of the kids anyway. There are some problems with this scenario. One of them would be that once the sister is to receive those funds, she just gets it. There is no condition, there is no instructions on how to spend the money. But also, what happens if she passes shortly after? Now that money belonged to her estate and it may never touch your children. So having another adult as a designated beneficiary to your life insurance proceeds, for example, because you are trying to avoid having minor children listed, is not necessarily a good idea. It may work for now, but please consider getting something in writing, getting a revocable trust where you can provide the right instructions and you can ensure that the money will be spent the way you want them to. Let's also talk about if your designated beneficiaries or your future beneficiaries may receive now or may be in the future eligible to receive governmental benefits. So what can you do? Again, you can list a trust as a beneficiary. You can create what is called a special needs trust, a supplemental needs trust that would ensure that your beneficiaries will not lose benefits, but that the trustee, the person whom you trust and nominate in your documents, will supplement their income in such a way that the benefits remain intact and your beneficiary will also have the advantage of your gift, of the inheritance you may leave for them. A third category is people who are not financially responsible. So let's say you have a young adult child, or you have an adult child who's struggling with addiction, or they're going through a bad marriage. You may not want to list them directly as your beneficiary to your investments, to your life insurance, but you may want instead to have again a revocable trust listed as a beneficiary, and in the revocable trust you can include special provisions as to allow the trustee and your beneficiary to work together to ensure that the money will be spent the right way, maybe for their care, maybe on helping them get over the addiction, or if they're going through a bad marriage, wait with the distribution until the marriage is finalized, and that money won't have to be split. There's just some things to consider. Assets protection is another one, but that's a different topic for another day. So what can you do now? Talk to your life insurance provider about the amount of life insurance you need. People ask me that question all the time, and I always send them back to the life insurance provider. They have formulas and they know what questions to ask to help you determine your life insurance coverage. To talk to your life insurance provider also about how much more it would cost to have a higher payout. If you already have a life insurance policy, see how much more it would cost to have $50,000 more or $100,000 more. Sometimes it could be something very small and you can say, oh yeah, I can do that, that sounds good. Or they can tell you, well, it's another $300 a month, and then you can say, no way, I'm not ready for that. But at least you know. So give them a call, ask them, hey, how much it would cost to increase my life insurance payout. 3, check on your beneficiary designations today. 4, have a folder with your policy's information for your family to use easily if needed. So if you pass, will your family be able to find what assets you have? Have a folder ready for them to just pick up and say, okay, he had life insurance, she had these investments, let's just call and collect. List your beneficiaries, have a list, have a folder somewhere where your family can collect it. And 5, come talk to us about what we discussed today. If you're not ready just yet to sit down with an attorney, at least consider attending our free estate planning educational events. We have them monthly, they're in person, we serve lunch, and we go over a lot of the things we discussed today. Our phone number is 405-857-8231. And my email is mona@unitylegalservices.net. So give me a call, send me an email if you have any questions or feedback on this video, and feel free to share it with your family and your loved ones. Thank you for watching.